Surface area and prisms of prisms and cylinders. Before we get into surface area, you have to know that altitude is the height of a three-dimensional figure and it forms right angle at one base. It will always form a right angle. It's only the altitude if it forms a right angle. The surface area of any figure is the total area of all the faces and curved surfaces of a 3D shape. Here I'm given a triangular prism. Now if I would unfold this into a net, the surface area would be the area of this rectangle plus the area of your two bases. If I'm going to find the area of this large rectangle, that's the same thing as your perimeter of one of your bases. The surface area of a cube, however, is the area of one side times 6. So make sure you write down this formula. So s squared is the area of one side face of a cube and multiplied by 6. The area of any prism would be the area or the perimeter of one base. So here would be the perimeter of this triangle multiplied the height. That will give me the area of the rectangle plus the area of the two bases, the top and bottom base. Make sure to write down this information on your notes. S is equal to PH plus 2B. P stands for the perimeter of the base, and B stands for the area of one base. So if I have the figure of a rectangular prism, I'm going to use the equation PH plus 2B. P here is equal to 28. 8 plus 8 plus 6 plus 6. B here is equal to 48, because 8 times 6 is 48. So I have 28 times 12, because that's the height, plus 2 times 48, which would be equal to 432 centimeters squared. Surface area is always centimeters squared, because it's a form of area, and area is always squared. Find the lateral area and surface area of a cube with edge length 8 centimeters. Lateral area would be, if I were to draw a cube here, my lateral area will be all the side lengths of the cube. So not including the bottom and top base. So if I find the area of one face, which would be 8 times 8, which is equal to 64. My lateral area is equal to 4 times 64. And my surface area would be equal to 64 times 6, which is 384 centimeters squared. Again, area or surface area is always going to be squared. Now if I have a cylinder would be the area of the rectangle of the height plus the area of the two circles on top and bottom. Now this side length is going to be the same distance as the circumference of a circle. So when I'm finding the area of the lateral area, the rectangle, that would be 2 pi r times h, because 2 pi r is equal to your circumference. So make sure to write down these equations. Surface area of a cylinder is the circumference of the circle times the height plus the area of both bases. So S is equal to 2 pi RH plus 2B. B would be equal to the area of the base. So given this picture, my R here is going to be 1, because the diameter is equal to 2, so half the diameter is my radius, which is 1. So I'm going to figure out the surface area. Surface area is 2 times pi times my radius, which is 1, times my height, which which is 5, plus 2 times the area of my base, which is my radius squared times pi. When I multiply this out, 1 times 5 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10 pi. Plus 1 squared is 1, times 2 would be 2 pi. So the surface area of the cylinder would give me 12 pi meters squared. Since they both have pi units, I can add those into 12. Or if you were to multiply this out, it would be 37.68 meters squared. A cylinder with a circumference of 10 pi centimeters and a height equal to 3 times the radius. The first thing I want to do here is figure out what the radius is. Circumference is equal to 2r pi. My circumference is equal to 10 pi. So I want to solve for r. So in order to solve for r, I have to divide by 2 pi on both sides of the equation. These will cancel out. The pi's will cancel out. 10 divided by 2 is equal to 5. So my radius is equal to 5. The height is equal to 3 times the radius. So my radius is 5, so my height would be 15. So if I want to find the surface area of my cylinder, it's going to be 2 pi times my radius, which is 5, times my height, which is 15, plus 2 times my radius squared times pi. This is equal to 150 pi plus 50 pi, which is equal to 200 pi centimeters squared, or 628 centimeters squared. Now you could also have figures like this. This is a rectangular prism with basically a cylinder taken out of the prism. So what I'm going to do, I'm first going to find the surface area of the prism, which would be equal to 80 times 20 plus 2 times 384. 80 times 20, this is going to be my perimeter times my height. 2 times 384, 384 is the area of one base. So the area of my rectangular prism is 2,368. Now, I have to subtract both circles on top and bottom because those are not there. So I'm just finding the area of my circles. It's going to be radius squared times pi. And there's 2 of them, so I'm going to multiply this by 2, which is roughly about 50.24, because this would be 32 times pi. And I also have to add the area of the lateral area of my cylinder. The lateral area is going to be the circumference of the circle, which is 2 times my radius times pi, times the height of the cylinder. So I have to add that. So that would be 502.4. So if we take 2,368 minus 50.24 plus 502.4, my surface area is 2,820.16 centimeters squared. So you should always break down your figure into multiple different parts. So if the length, width, height of the right rectangular prisms are doubled, describe the effect of the surface area. So if I find the surface area first with these numbers, it would be 16 times 3, which is equal to 48. And then I would add 24, because that will be the area of both bases, which is equal to 72 inches squared. Now if I double each side length, This would be 12, 4, and 6, and find the surface area. It's going to be 192 plus 96, which is equal to 288. So I want to see what happened to the surface area. If I do 288 divided by 72, that will be equal to 4. Since surface area is like area, it's always squared. If each side is doubled, I'm going to take the 2 and square it. That means my surface area will increase by a factor of 4, or be multiplied by a factor of 4. So in this question, the height and diameter of the cylinder are multiplied by 1/2. Now you could do it the same way that we just figured out what happened with the surface area. Find the surface area of the cylinder and then take 1/2 of each side length and find the surface area again. But since surface area is squared, I'm going to square whatever is getting multiplied by each side length. 1/2 squared is going to be equal to 1 squared over 2 squared, which is going to be 1/4. So you can say the surface area is multiplied by 1/4, or you could say it's divided by 4. Homework is on page 684, 1 through 11, 13, 16 through 22, 46, and 47.